Welcome to CUM. Today I have two special guests talking about automobile industry, and I'm going to ask them a couple of questions. Welcome back and meet our first guest speaker, Pietro. So, Pietro, what are the global challenges that affect car manufacturing industry?
So, hello everybody. The main challenges that affect the automobile industry are the following. So, CO2 emissions that can affect, that made by governments that can affect companies, the scarce resources, for example, metal and oil, economic crisis, for example, the 2008 crisis largely affected many automobile companies to a large extent. Then the cost of labor and all those legal factors, for example, cost of labor, minimum wage, or just high barriers to entry in a certain type of market, which can create stress in companies. Trade policies are another major challenge, which, for example, in Europe there is free trade, and also in the NAFTA region, while in other regions there is no free trade, so for companies it's more expensive to export in those areas. And lastly, technological challenges. For example, continuous development and competition is creating stress on many companies in the automobile sector.
Welcome our second guest speaker, Emma. So Emma, how do you see the future of car industry in, let's say, 20 years?
Hello Stan, pleasure to be here. The car industry actually has a very promising future, and we're going to witness a lot of changes within the next 20 years. I think that what is mainly going to affect the car industry is a lot of innovation, such as like the driverless cars, the smart cars, but also how cars need to focus nowadays on all those environmental policies like we talked about. So they're going to develop smart cars and try and have a lot of green cars. So that's the future is going to hold a lot of innovation.
So now we are going to talk to the CEO of Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, Pietro Gambarini.
Hello everybody. So today I'm going to talk to you about Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, which is an Italian company originally from Italy, founded in Turin by the Agnelli family. So this company in the 1990s, they started to go through a period of globalization, especially following other companies that were going through the same period as well. In the 2000, from 2000 to 2004, the company entered a deep crisis. Why is that? Because they couldn't keep up with globalization. So especially three items: supply chain, distribution channels, and bargaining power. So while the automotive industry in those years was condensing, so the main companies were buying many other small companies and merging between each other, creating really big conglomerates. In this way they could achieve more bargaining power, so they had more power when they wanted to, for example, talk about deals or make alliances or arrangements. Then they had more power on suppliers because they had more production volumes. They produced more cars basically, so suppliers had less power over the companies. And the third thing was distribution channels. So while these big companies had many distribution channels, Fiat wasn't that great. So in 2004, Fiat announced a new restructuring of the company. A new management was appointed as well as a new CEO. And the CEO started a strategy in order to face challenges posed by globalization, which I said before, the main ones. The strategy was around merging with another big company. So this other big company was Chrysler. In 2014, Fiat bought Chrysler for $5 billion, around $5 billion. And this was the strategy that they used to achieve, to fight the challenges posed by globalization. And now we're going to listen to what Stanislav Naumov has to say. He is a top manager in BMW.
It's a German car manufacturing company which was founded in 1916 and it was producing air engines for the military. And since 1950s, it starts its own production of their vehicles, such as motorbikes and cars. The first outbreak from the Germany boundaries happened in 1972 when the company purchased their first plant in South Africa, and since that moment, companies started expanding to the USA, to Asia, to Europe, Russia, and all other countries. So they started going globally. Global operations, they bring some advantages for the company, such as increasing the market share, new customers, new technologies, but also there are some challenges when the businesses go global. The first challenge that BMW has found is the currency exchange rate, because it has operations in so many different countries. It has to deal with the depreciation and the economical factors. And they found that for 5 years, from 2004 and 2009, they were affected so badly, so they had to find a strategy to overcome this challenge. The second challenge happened with one of its suppliers. They were outsourcing airbags in a supplier company, and because of the mistake that the supplier has made, their brand image has been affected, and they had to recall up to 1 million vehicles from the USA and Canada, which had led to higher costs. And now we're going to talk to the Chief Operating Officer of Toyota, Emma Lalancet.
I found it necessary to talk about Toyota, which is only one of the biggest car manufacturers in the world. So Toyota originally started as a family company, which was set up in Japan in 1937, and it's had a quick rise and expanded and outsourced production mainly in the United States and in Europe. So although it had an unsuccessful start because its cars were too focused on the customers in Japan, it quickly brought out new models and was able to adapt to the changing taste of customers in the US and in Europe. So that's what made Toyota so successful. But also, what characterizes the cars in Toyota cars are the fact that they're small, qualitative, and very affordable for just the average household. So it doesn't have to be any luxurious cars. It's just the car that everyone with the average salary can buy. So this is how it's managed to reach record sales, and like all the other car companies, it's had some operational challenges, such as the subprime crisis, which has affected all of the car companies. But more specifically, the challenges that mainly Toyota has faced were the recalls, mainly from 2009 and 2011, where it's had to recall vehicles, up to 9 million vehicles, because the acceleration pedal was catching on the floor of the mat, and it was returning, and the pedal wasn't returning to the up position. So the recall was its main challenge, and we can talk about a second challenge, which is its weak penetration in the markets, main car markets, which are China and India. So Toyota has been recently faced with two operational challenges, which they will have to overcome and implement strategies to overcome their challenges.
And now we are going to listen to Coward, an employee in Honda.
Is Honda Motor, which is a Japanese public multinational company that well known as the manufacturer of the automobile, aircraft, and motorcycle. The most intense challenge that the auto industry will face in the future decades would be the stricter regulation on emission and the new standard of fuel economy of the vehicles, which in 2025, the government that most Western country has adopted the agreement that will require all new models of car that made in 2025 to reduce its emission by half and double its fuel efficiency of the vehicles in the futures. To Honda, that means the current best-selling models of the SUVs and mid-size vehicle will be affected because the US government, which adopted this agreement, will not allow Honda to import its car, and the US government and US is the major market of the Honda, which is responsible for 56% of its revenue to Honda, and it will definitely increase the chance that Honda to lose its share in the US market.
So I hope you enjoyed our guest speakers for tonight.